A night security guard runs terrified through the air ducts of the security office. He is caught and subdued by Foxy, who ties him to a chair while we see a Freddy mask made of metal pieces moving toward his head. The security guard struggles to break free, but it's no use. The mask fits onto his face, and we cut to Mike at his security job. Mike talks with a colleague about dream theories. The idea that even if your brain can block or erase memories, you can access them in dreams and reveal details you couldn't see before. In a shopping mall, Mike sees a man hurriedly carrying a child. Thinking the man is a criminal, he follows him and assaults him in the middle of the mall. When it's revealed that the man is the child's father, Mike is fired on the spot. Later, Mike meets career counselor Steve Raglan. Mike wants help finding a job, but after examining his documents, Steve notes that he's gone through several jobs in a short time, which makes it very difficult to get a job. Soon after, Steve begins to say Mike's full name, but chokes and doesn't finish his surname. Steve appears startled and suddenly proposes a night security job for Mike. Mike says no, as he has to stay with his sister Abby and can't take night shifts. Steve hands him his card if Mike changes his mind. Upon arriving home, Mike looks at his younger sister, quiet and reserved, who loves to draw and talk about her invisible friends. I would be scared of that. Mike later goes to bed and has a bad dream. A younger Mike appears with his family. His mother asks him to watch his younger brother Garrett, but Mike gets distracted. While searching for his brother, he hears the sound of a car leaving and runs to see his younger brother being taken in the back seat of a car. Hey! The movie I'm summarizing is called Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a horror movie adapted from a game, and surprisingly, it's not a bad movie at all. Most adapted movies make you want to stop halfway through, but not this one. It's very good. Really enjoyed it. That's why I invite you to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to receive the best summaries. Mike runs after the car, but can't catch up to it. He then wakes up the next morning. Mike and his sister go to a medical consultation with Mike's aunt. Mike's aunt wants to take custody of Abby, using Mike's unemployment as justification. It seems the aunt will succeed in getting Abby. With no alternative, Mike calls Steve and accepts the night security job. Before starting his first shift, Mike hires a babysitter to watch Abby. Mike arrives at his workplace, a place called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, a famous children's restaurant with huge musical animatronics. Mike arrives at his building and goes to an office. He watches the introduction video and ignores some strange sounds. Mike dozes off and has a nightmare about his brother being kidnapped again. But now there are 5 children, one unknown in his dream. Mike gets confused and runs after one of the children, but loses his balance and falls in the dream. He wakes up and his first shift is over. He leaves work and returns to Abby. Mike's babysitter goes to a restaurant with her brother to meet Mike's aunt and her lawyer. Mike's aunt had hired the babysitter to collect evidence against him, including child abuse allegations, to gain custody of Abby. The babysitter tells Mike's aunt she found nothing. Mike's aunt, angry, said she won't pay anything because the deal was to find evidence, and since she found nothing, she won't get paid. The babysitter's brother had an idea. Their goal is to break into Freddy Fazbear's and wreck everything, so Mike would be fired. Mike returns to Freddy Fazbear's on his second night and falls asleep again. He has a nightmare about his brother being kidnapped and the 5 children appear again. The children escape, so Mike follows a different child. He catches up to a child who has a hook in one hand. The boy throws the hook at Mike and wounds his arm. Mike is awakened by a knock at the door. When he opens the door, Mike sees Vanessa, a police officer who has been a Freddy Fazbear fan since childhood. It seems the injury he suffered in his dream is real as he's bleeding. Vanessa bandages his arm and tells Mike about Freddy's and how famous it was in the 80s. She mentions the high frequency of dismissals, suggesting Mike won't keep the job for long. She seems to know Freddy's well and shows Mike the team, which has Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, and Freddy. She presses a button that brings them to life as they sing, but the power goes out due to a short circuit. Vanessa and Mike leave, and as the day passes, Mike fails to close all the doors at Freddy's. It's shown that the babysitter's brother is watching and notices Freddy's is open. Later, the babysitter arrives at Freddy Fazbear's with her brother and 2 friends as planned, and they begin breaking in and destroying the place. During the action, one of the criminals notices a shaking and vibrating refrigerator. He opens the refrigerator and comes face to face with Chica's cupcake. He hears a sound behind him and turns his head. When he looks back at the refrigerator, the cupcake is gone. He looks again and finds Chica and her cupcake. Chica's cupcake jumps on him and bites his face. Hearing his colleague screams, another criminal goes there and sees the cupcake biting his colleague while Chica watches, terrified. The guy runs away and hides in a shed, but Bonnie is there and attacks and kills him. The babysitter's brother finds his friends dead and tries to escape, but the exit is blocked. Suddenly, Foxy appears and attacks the babysitter's brother in the hallway. The babysitter, who was in the car, gets nervous and goes in to see what happened. She finds a child. The child leads her through Freddy Fazbear's and shows her Freddy Fazbear in person. From inside Freddy's costume comes a child's sound. She gets close to Freddy's mouth to see what's inside, but is dragged into Freddy's mouth and split in half by a small hand that comes out of the costume. Vanessa goes to Mike's house, saying someone broke into Freddy's. Mike and Vanessa walk, and Mike tells Vanessa about his brother's kidnapping. Vanessa throws away Mike's sleeping pills, telling him to stay awake at work, and if he leaves Freddy's unlocked again, she'll have to report it. At night, Mike calls the babysitter to ask her to stay with Abby, but can't reach her. With no other option, Mike takes Abby to Freddy Fazbear's to stay with him during his shift. Arriving at Freddy's, Mike sees Vanessa's car outside. She's angry with him for being careless, causing the damage at Freddy's. She leaves without saying anything. Mike arranges a place for Abby to sleep in his office, and after she falls asleep, he goes to clean up the mess the criminals left. After finishing the cleanup, he returns to his office. He falls asleep and dreams. In the dream, he sees the children again, but they don't run from him. One of the children tells Mike that they know who took his brother away. The child asks for something in return and disappears, leaving a figure of a robotic rabbit on the ground. Mike says he would do anything. Suddenly, he wakes up to Abby's screams. She's gone from the office. Mike runs out of the office and finds Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy surrounding Abby. He runs to them, but discovers the robots were being gentle with her. Abby tells Mike that the robots are her friends. Mike is amazed, takes Abby, and leaves with her when his shift ends. At home, Mike notices that one of Abby's drawings showed Garrett's kidnapping, exactly as he remembered it. Mike questions Abby about the drawing, and she says that one of the children who appeared in her dreams had told her about the kidnapping. She tells Mike that the children are the souls inhabiting the robots at Freddy's, and that they're not products of her imagination. Mike realizes he can use Abby to talk to the children, so he takes her with him for his fourth shift. When they arrive at Freddy Fazbear's, they see Vanessa inside. On the wall, there's a photo of a glowing rabbit with 5 children holding hands. Mike questions Vanessa about the mechanical dolls and wants to know if she's aware they have spirits inside. Vanessa confirms she does. Abby goes to the dolls, hugs them, and claps with them. Mike, Abby, Vanessa, and all the dolls have a party, and Bonnie, who falls backward, gives a thumbs up to say everything's okay, while everyone else, along with the dolls, lies down on the floor. Vanessa says they have to cover up what they're doing, so she and Mike go to a back room to look for materials. Mike sees the baby dolls on the floor, lifeless. He wants to touch them, but Vanessa doesn't let him. Instead, Vanessa takes a board and drives it into the open chest of the doll. The baby suit locks the piece of wood with its springs. Mike and Vanessa join the animatronics for a party. The animatronics play their songs, and everyone has fun dancing. The party ends when Abby touches Bonnie's guitar and gets a strong shock. Abby falls to the ground but recovers without serious injuries. Vanessa warns Mike that if he brings Abby to Freddy's again, she'll shoot him. She leaves, and Mike and Abby leave too. At home, Mike calls Abby's aunt to stay with her while he returns for his 5th shift. Abby becomes very sad seeing her aunt and thinks Mike is abandoning her. She goes to her room and scribbles over Mike's face in all her drawings. Mike apologizes and tells her that's not what he wants. Arriving at Freddy's, Mike goes to the office and falls asleep again. He encounters the child's ghost, who proposes to Mike to trade Abby for information about Garrett's kidnapper. Mike agrees at first, but quickly changes his mind and refuses the proposal. The child's ghost disappears, and Mike is attacked by 5 child ghosts in his dream. He suffers various cuts and scratches. Mike wakes up in the same devices that appear at the beginning of the film, and the Freddy mask slowly approaches his face. Mike notices, however, that the previous guard had loosened the screws. Mike manages to unscrew and escape the device, even while injured. He runs to Freddy's door, but it's locked. Soon after, Foxy appears and moves toward Mike. The scene changes to Abby and her aunt at Mike's house. Freddy arrives at the house and kills Mike's aunt. Freddy persuades Abby to accompany him back to Freddy's. They take a taxi with Corey driving and return to Freddy's. The scene shows Mike, who wakes up in a police station, with Vanessa treating his wounds. Vanessa had saved Mike from Freddy's. She reveals to Mike that she is William Afton's daughter and that her father was responsible for Garrett's kidnapping, but she didn't know this when she met Mike. She also tells Mike that the animatronics not only have the children's souls, but also their bodies inside the dolls. She gives Mike a taser and an electric baton and tells Mike that electricity is temporarily effective against the animatronics, making them pass out. Mike attaches the taser to the electric baton and enters Freddy's through a ventilation opening. He notices that Chica is dragging Abby to the back of Freddy's and exits the air duct, going to the main room. He throws a bucket of water on the floor and fires his shock weapon at her. This hits Freddy and Bonnie, making them pass out. Chica takes Abby to a room with the animatronic baby in a seat. Chica tries to stuff Abby into the animatronic baby. Mike appears and shoots Chica. Abby and Mike escape, but Chica's cupcake attacks Mike and bites his ankle. Mike tells Abby to run while he fights the cupcake. Foxy appears looking for Abby, who hides in a ditch. Foxy is almost finding Abby when Vanessa arrives and knocks out Foxy. Abby was saved by Vanessa. Mike uses the weapon to defeat the cupcake. He tried to reach Abby but was stopped by a new animatronic, a talking golden rabbit. The golden rabbit told Mike that he was getting too close to the truth and knocked him out. Vanessa approached the golden rabbit and pointed her gun at him. The golden rabbit removed his mask, revealing himself to be Steve Raglan, the man who had hired Mike. However, Raglan was actually William Afton, the owner of Freddy Fazbear's and the kidnapper of Mike's brother and other children. He ordered the animatronics to wake up and they rose. William challenged Vanessa, saying she wouldn't have the courage to shoot him. However, Vanessa fired, hitting William in the chest. William grabs Vanessa by the neck and tries to strangle her, saying she only needed to deceive Mike. This shows that Vanessa didn't come to Freddy's by chance with Mike. William used her to hide the truth from Mike, but Vanessa regretted it. Vanessa tells Mike, who has just awakened, that the robots don't know the truth, and he has to reveal it to them. William stabs Vanessa in the stomach. Mike asks Abby to capture the truth, while William approaches Mike. Abby makes a drawing of the golden rabbit killing the 5 children and replaces the drawing of hugging the golden rabbit with this new drawing. The animatronics remember what happened to them. They discover that William is responsible for their deaths and for putting their corpses in the suits. Chica's cupcake then attacks William and bites his suit, causing William's suit's spring mechanisms to activate and lock while he's still inside. As the spring mechanisms continue to press, Freddy, the rabbit, Chica, and Foxy take William to the back of Freddy's. Mike grabs Vanessa and flees Freddy's with Abby, and the building begins to collapse. Later, there's a time jump, showing Abby making friends at school and becoming more normal. Abby remains under Mike's sole care, who is happier. Mike goes to the hospital to see Vanessa, who is in a coma, and says he's waiting for her to wake up. In the final scene, William is in Freddy's warehouse, writhing and moaning, while an animatronic watches him and closes the warehouse door, leaving William to die. The film ends with William's death and his possible transformation into Springtrap. So that's it. What rating would you give this movie? Write in the comments and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new recaps.
No.